call the 7 o'clock Iredell County Board of Commissioners meeting to order. Call Mr. Johnson for the invocation.
Okay. Let's pray, please. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to meet and to serve you and serve the people of this county. We ask, before we ask for anything, we ask you for the forgiveness of our sins. That, Father, you would cleanse us from anything that we've done wrong, that you'll bring it to mind, and that you'll correct us through your Holy Spirit, and that you'll give us wisdom tonight to do your will and what is in the best interest of the folks of this county. And we ask it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Let us stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Call Mr. Mashman for adjustments to the agenda.
Mr. Chair, I do have a couple of adjustments to make to the agenda. Under appointments before the board, item B will be deleted from the agenda this evening. Also, under administrative matters, item D is deleted from the agenda. This is an item that was addressed at the Commissioners' winter planning session. What it was an agreement between the North Carolina Department of Transportation and Iredell County concerning debris removal, and it was necessary to go ahead and take action on that. So the board did agree to do that at the retreat, and so item D is deleted from the discussion tonight. Also deleted is item F. Item F. Mr. Chair, those are the adjustments to the agenda.
Okay, are there any more adjustments to the agenda? If not, do I have a motion that we accept the agenda?
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, likewise. We have a special presentation of recognition for plaque from Mr. James Wilson. Is he here tonight? Sure. Yes, sir. Would you please come forward? Mr. Williams wanted to present this plaque to you, but he was not able to be here tonight, so I wanted to make sure we get it done tonight. It's an appreciation for 22 years of royal and distinguished service with the Iredell County Board of Adjustments from 1986 to 2008. And Mr. Wilson, we thank you for those years of service, and it's a whole lot of years of service, so we all want to thank you for this. Shake hands. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I made the mistake of accidentally stumbling into a Board of Adjustment meeting one evening, and I can assure you their meetings are sometimes just as contentious as ours. And I've been doing this 15 years, and I don't know if I'm as tough as Mr. Wilson that took meetings like that for 22 years. He's quite a man of some character and duration to do that.
How many years I agree with Mr. Johnson. I've only attended a couple of those, but those are pretty tough meetings.
Right.
Appointments before the board tonight, Ms. Amy Eisele. Abuse Now Scan Executive Director. If you would come on up, go ahead.
Thank you. What I wanted to do was to make all of you aware of something that I think is really neat. There is a community child protection team, and we are Iredell is one of the members in Region 3. There are 13 members in Region 3. And one of the things that we are doing this April, which is Child Abuse Prevention Month, is we are having it's a healthy family fair called Gardening Together, Growing Healthy Families. And I wanted to give each one of you a copy of the brochure that we're giving out, because we're having it right here in Statesville. And I think that this is a real coup for Iredell County to be able to be hosting 13 counties of people all involved with child protection services and with trying to keep our children safe. And it's a true collaboration between the child abuse prevention teams, SCAN, the Iredell County Health Department, Department of Social Services, the Guardian ad litem, and I just felt like it would be a really important thing for you guys to know about, to be aware of, that we're doing something kind of special here, and this county is the host, and I think it's quite a coup for us. So I was wondering if I might give you each one of these and give you that information. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Smith, you next.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Board of Commissioners. We have a request for a release of jurisdiction to the town of Mooresville before you tonight. This property is located at 872 River Highway, which is NC 150. It is located in front of the Water Oak subdivision and pretty close to the Byers Creek shopping center, which is at the corner of Perth Road and 150. The owner is Michael Shalvoy, and he's represented by Professional Property Services, who has actually made the request on his behalf. This is a little bit over a half-acre piece of property that currently is zoned residential agriculture, although our land use plan calls for mixed use, and the town's comprehensive plan calls for commercial use of the property. The proposed use of this property, and I don't want to put too much emphasis on the proposed use, but the proposed use is a car wash. And as I mentioned at our last meeting where we discussed this particular issue, it has not been given formal go-ahead, obviously, by the town. And although that is the proposed use at this point, before the town actually gets into rezoning the property, if you choose to relinquish the ETJ, they would have to consider all uses that are before them. So we have looked at this from a staff perspective, and we have no problem with the commercial nature of the property and feel it's in line with both our plan and the town's plan as well. And we are in support of the request. Don't feel it's under this proposed use, don't feel like this would necessarily be the best use of the property, but we try and consider the commercial nature of it first and foremost. So I'd be glad to answer any questions that you might have.
Any questions for Mr. Smith?
If we grant ETJ for this property, will that property be, will they have to comply with the county's soil and erosion ordinance?
As it stands right now, they will not.
And this property is in the watershed, yes?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Any other questions, Mr. Smith? All right, thank you, Mr. Smith.
Thank you.
This is a public hearing which gives you a right to speak in favor or against this request. Is there anyone in the audience at this time wishing to speak in favor or against this request? If so, you may come on up here and You can state your name when you come up.
Mr. Chairman, I'm very grateful for this opportunity to speak. My name is John Liberti. My home is at 129 Water Oak Drive. That's behind the proposed car wash. The car wash is an unattended, two-bay automated car wash. That means it's simply a huge factory with two extremely noisy production lines running on autopilot. The town planners in Mooresville explained to me that a car wash of this nature is supposed to be perpendicular to the highway. However, due to the narrow size of the lot, it's going to be forced to be, it's supposed to be parallel to the highway, and due to the nature of the lot, it's going to be perpendicular to the highway. That means that the two exits of the car wash will face out to the Water Oak residence. The car wash is on a hill overlooking Water Oak. Therefore, the loud blow dryers and the vacuums are going to broadcast over a wide area. There's going to be two bays to this car wash with the blow dryers going alternately on and off, first one, then the other, and sometimes simultaneously with twice the noise. Now, it was explained to me that there's a 100-foot distance from where the rear of this car wash is to be to the Water Oak residence, as that would be a buffer. But I've gone around and checked several car washes in the Mooresville area, and I've stood back as far as 300 feet and found that there was a very pronounced noise from these type of blow dryers, and also that it was quite irritating because of the whine, the frequency of the sound of the blow dryers. The car wash is going to be open based on customer convenience. That means that the primary activity is going to be on the evenings and the weekends. The view and the noise will be a prominent feature in the lives of 6 Water Oak homeowners behind the car wash, and many others will be irritated by the sounds. Quiet evenings will be out the window. In fact, homeowners will have to stay in their homes with their windows shut. They will not be able to enjoy their patios or their decks. Now, in the layout diagram of this car wash, there's not even a line of trees to buffer the noise. In fact, there's a clear line of sight from the back of where the car wash is straight through to the window of my master bedroom and also to my enclosed patio. And even if there were trees, which would initially be young saplings, that's an inadequate solution. Perhaps a documented element of this plan, the one for the car wash, should have been a 10-foot high, 50-foot long commercial STC 32 noise abatement wall like you see on the side of highways. That feature costs more or less $19,000. There's also a note on the drawing about the DOT making the final determination on the flow of traffic out of the car wash. The city planners in Mooresville have explained to me that the egress we can expect is a flow directly onto Water Oak Drive, which is the primary and only entrance into the Water Oak subdivision of 200 residents. There are 4 other entrances, but until property around that is developed, there's no streets to flow into. Therefore, Water Oak has got the streets dead-ended with guardrail-type barricades, and that's going to be that way for years to come, and based on the economy. And I might add that there's no traffic light at the entrance to the Water Oak subdivision. We've got a very hazardous situation there, and it's going to be compounded by traffic from the car wash, customers flowing out. Now, on January 17th, there was a petition to the county commissioner regarding Brawley School Road traffic. It's on file here, probably in this building. Signatory number 1054, Mr. Mike Shalvoy, said, quote, "It would be nice to have a Brawley Peninsula County Appearance Board oversee the widening to prevent luxurious neon car washes as the gateway to our neighborhoods," end quote. So he says to this board, don't put a car wash in the gateway to my neighborhood. Then he turns around and says to the commissioners, let me put a car wash on top of a nearby subdivision and trash other people's lives. It's okay for them to suffer degraded quality of life and reduced property values. I respectfully request this property not be released for annexation. Release at this time would allow the car wash to be erected before the question of town annexation is voted on. Disapproving the release will allow town commissioners to ultimately vote on something more than annexation of an already completed carte blanche project that the property owners will dress up with various inferred approvals. If a car wash is going up, town planners need to formally steer efforts to integrate this howling two-bay enterprise into the town's extraordinarily beautiful Water Oak at the Lake setting. Thank you very much for letting me speak, gentlemen.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else in the audience wishing to speak in favor or against the request?
Good evening. My name is Mike Shalvoy, and I'm the one requesting this petition. He is right. I did have a problem on Brawley Road when they put up the buildings they put up, but they're not like the building that I'm putting up. He was also wrong. It is just a single bay car wash. The traffic flow is the opposite way that he was informed. The traffic flow is out onto 150, not into the River Oak neighborhood. I've agreed to comply with the NC, DOT and all that, in doing a de-acceleration lane and acceleration lane out of the wash. The dryers are on the front. The property is totally surrounded. It's not even adjacent to their neighborhood. The property behind me is also zoned commercial. I do not own it. It's a piece that runs behind me and River Oaks. It's our intention to do an aesthetically pleasing building. So that's basically what I wanted to tell you. I wasn't pro the ones on Brawley School Road. He's right, I live down it. And I certainly wouldn't have those people subject to those type buildings. My building's much better looking. It'll actually blend into the neighborhood. Again, on all three sides of my property is zone commercial, and the exit and entry is onto Highway 150. It's not onto their road. Is there any other questions? Or?
Any questions? Appreciate it, sir. Thank you.
Sure.
Anyone else wishing to speak in favor or against this request?
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Trey Sunderland. I reside at 138 Gresham Lane. I do live in Water Oak, not River Oak, as the owner of the property mentioned. It's my understanding from the plats that I've seen that this person's property does back up directly to the property within Water Oak. I was a board member last year and board member this year of the HOA. I've seen the master plan, and there is a property buffer that the HOA owns, but it's I believe it's a 20-foot wide property buffer that was required by the city. I'm opposed to release of this property for annexation due to the following reasons. I do not think that this property is going to be approved to be able to access 150 under DOT rules. I'd like to see the approval that he thinks he has, and I'd like to see a guarantee that that's what's ultimately going to be approved, because I do not believe that that's what's going to be approved. I believe that he will be granted access through the property immediately adjacent to our easement to 150, and I believe that the traffic from this car wash will be required to use our exit, our only exit, which right now is an issue. We have requested that the state do a traffic study. They do not yet have enough traffic showing coming in and out of our property to get a traffic light, yet we've had several pretty severe accidents in front of our property. I think this is only going to contribute to those accidents, this additional traffic. I do agree with Mr. Liberty. This is going to be a noise problem for many of our residents, particularly the 6 residents that are immediately adjacent to this property. And many of our homes are built very high. They have second and third level rooms that I believe will be able to hear this as many as several streets away. The nature of the homes in our properties. I don't see how a commercial car wash is going to be able to blend in with the architecture of the homes. I don't know if any of you are familiar with the homes here, but I think you would agree that it would be absurd to say that you could build a car wash that would blend in with the homes in our neighborhood. That's just not possible. I am concerned about water runoff. I am one of the homes that is across from the cove in our neighborhood, and I see a severe silt runoff problem every time it rains. With the rain that we had right before the snow and the snow that we've had, the entire cove is nothing but silt right now. I think that this type of project is only going to contribute to that. It will be an unpermeable surface, asphalt, concrete, whatever, and I think that consolidated runoff is just going to contribute to the problems that we're already experiencing. That pretty much sums up my objections. I understand that there's some other people from our residents that would like to speak, so let's just say thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak in regards to this request? Either in favor or against the request?
Hello, my name is Michael Ishii, and I am a Water Oak resident. I live at 104 Kensington Street, which is in a direct line of sight of this proposed property. I just wanted to enlighten you guys with a recent experience I had at a car wash and give you an idea of what I don't want in front of my neighborhood, as I am opposed to the release of this property. Several months ago, I attended a car wash in the Mooresville area to vacuum out my car, which this facility is proposed to have, I believe it's 2 vacuum bays. At which time I was approached by 2 homely-looking individuals soliciting money from me and other people within the car wash that were not there using the car wash facilities. And this is a fear that I have, these type of people coming to the car wash and soliciting those individuals for money that are going to be there. A couple of weeks ago, I did see what appeared to me as a homeless individual walking down the road, which I have to presume would be willing to hang out in this area and barter for money. So I just want to enlighten you guys with that and say that I am very opposed to this project because of that very reason and the children that are involved in our neighborhood. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak, either in favor or against this request?
I have one more question.
Mr. Smith, I think Mr.
I've got one additional question, if you could. I've heard 2 different things. I've heard this is going to be a 2-bay car wash perpendicular to the road. I've heard it's going to be a 1-bay car wash parallel to the road. In our packet, I have a drawing that shows a 2-bay car wash perpendicular to the road. What are we approving?
Well, actually, you are approving just releasing the jurisdiction.
Okay.
At this point, and I definitely sympathize with everyone here, but you have no control over the specific use. And,
Okay.
And I think that
You've answered my question. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Smith. Any other questions, Mr. Smith, before we sit down?
Yeah, for the benefit of those who've never sat through one of these, Mr. Smith, what happens if we deny this request for ETJ?
Generally, a denial means that because the town has already essentially said we will provide you with water and sewer service, what a denial does is puts the project off. The town annexes one time a year, I believe it's June 30th, or effective date July 1st, one of those 2. So at that point, the property would be in the town of Mooresville, and it would be annexed. So all this does is speed up the approval process by a few months.
So if he's going to put a car wash in Mooresville, approves the car wash, all we've done is postponed it for a few months.
Yes, sir.
All right, now, there's some difference of opinion as to the use of the surrounding property. In the map that you gave us, it looks like the red hash marks are properties that are within Mooresville's ETJ as we speak.
That's correct.
And according to the map you've given us, his property is surrounded by other commercial property of different ownership that is in Mooresville's ETJ. Is that right?
Well, I wouldn't say that it's surrounded by commercial property. Right now, it's vacant property, but it is within the town's jurisdiction.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. But properties on either side of that front Highway 150, and it's reasonable to assume it'll develop commercially.
Yes, sir. That's what both land use plans call for.
Any additional questions, Ms. Smith? Is there anyone else in all wishing to speak before we close the public hearing?
I got one more, Mr. Smith. I know that our ordinance requires some buffering between any commercial property and residential property, and I would assume that Mooresville's would be at least as strict as ours. Is that?
I would agree with that. I would agree with that.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, this will end a public hearing.
I say that we would like additional time to work with the city on this property. Could you give us the extra time to work with the city?
Would you come up front where we can hear what you're actually saying? And of course, I'm going to ask Mr. Smith to speak to your request.
My name is Janet Rusk, and I live in Water Oak, and what I would like to have is you delay it so that we have extra time to work with the city to find out exactly what the plans are. There's too many discrepancies at this point. So if we had extra time, we could get more involved in it.
In the process?
Correct.
Okay. Mr. Smith, I'm going to have to ask you to speak to.
That's actually a good question. I'll give two scenarios. You could table the decision and then let the applicants work with the town. However, any work that's done, and I have full faith in the town staff and elected officials, but that's not binding. You know, nothing that is done now would be binding, any decisions that are made. So that's if you delayed the decision or just did not approve it and let them go through the annexation process. If you approve the release, that actually would give the residents a better opportunity to work with the town, because the town has to establish zoning on the property, and that's where they will be in a public hearing situation just like this. My guess is, and I don't know this, but my guess would be that they would do a conditional zoning process where they'd put conditions on it, and most certainly buffer between the residences and the car wash. So, you know, that's the two scenarios that I can give you. Probably the more meaningful input that the residents will have is through the zoning process with the town.
Okay.
And I will add that that would take place under ETJ or if it's annexed. So when it's annexed, if it's annexed, then they will do the same thing at that point as well.
I didn't mean to cut you off. Were you finished?
No, I'm done.
Okay. I did mean to speak to the matter of erosion. I'm not trying to discount the concern that Mr. Robertson has, because I do think it's valid. But after speaking with the folks in Mooresville, it looks like that Mooresville is not the one holding up the county's assuming their erosion control plan. I spoke with Mr. Rader and Mr. Carney, and at last Thursday night's meeting in Mooresville, I talked to some members of the staff there. They are willing to allow the county to assume that. Now, you may shed some light on this, but my understanding, Mooresville and Troutman has agreed to the county ordinance and are willing to sign a memorandum of understanding stating so and allow us to assume control. The jurisdictional body that's holding it up is the city of Statesville, that they have yet to to express the desire to let that happen. Is that your understanding, or?
That is. Now, I haven't had a firm commitment from Mooresville. Troutman their board has made an action or made a motion that this be an action, that we enter into this agreement at some point when we're ready to do so. I don't know that the same has gone on with the town yet, but I've always heard as we've gone through this very positive. We're very interested in doing it.
Okay.
So Statesville is just not that far.
Right.
Does Statesville have to sign on in order for Mooresville and Troutman?
Well, that's been discussed. I have not been told that, and that's
it's not an issue.
right, and it's never been required.
Well, that depends on who you talk to.
And I'll clarify that. I'll get an answer to that tomorrow and definitively put that one.
Mr. Carter or Mr. Rader may could shed some light on it, if they wouldn't mind.
Mr. Chairman, Board, thank you. After Mr. Johnson certainly brought this to my attention, I appreciate that, and went to discuss it with staff. And our understanding is that Diener certainly has some involvement, and that Mooresville Board has certainly said that we are on board. Commissioner Rader and I have both discussed it with staff, and we agree that it's the right thing to do. And up until now, we're having to, my understanding is that if Mooresville and Troutman both agree to it, it would be actually turning it over to the county to allow them to be enforcing is the problem. All three have to be on board in order for that to happen. Whereas we can agree to the same rules, and whether we enforce it or you enforce it, I think if for the county to enforce for everybody is why Statesville has to be involved. That way you have complete jurisdiction and can enforce it in all three cities. As of right now, we can all just agree that it's the right thing to do, and the enforcement part, I think, is the part in question. Does that sound somewhat accurate? Somewhat accurate. But anyway, at the end of the day, Mr. Johnson asked us, and we're completely on board, and we appreciate you bringing it to our attention. We really do.
Okay. We have inspections authority for other towns, but not all towns, correct?
Building inspections? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But not for all towns.
That's correct. That's correct. And I think it's definitely the preference, and I'm not disagreeing with Commissioner Carney. I know it's definitely the preference of Diener to do this, but we're just really not to that point yet. Eventually, once we all agree that this is the best thing to do, and we all make our motions to do so, we still have to jump through one more hoop, and that's the Sedimentation Control Commission in Raleigh. So that's the final say-so. I think the local Diener representatives definitely would love to see everyone under one jurisdiction, because they can wash their hands, of Iredell County at that point and leave it up to the locals.
Well, I don't mean to draw you in the middle of a fight, Mr. Carney, but would it be possible for one of the conditions, if you are presented with a case for rezoning, one of the conditions that could be put on it would be that the county would administer the erosion control over this site?
In fairness, as any government official, we just assume you, as an elected body, we'd assume you'd be the one to enforce it, because I think if everybody's following the same rules, it's for the best for the entire county. So I imagine that our board would be happy with that. Staff may have some questions about some different things they'd like to see in there, but at the end of the day, I think it's a good thing. Absolutely, sir.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. All right, at this time. Sir?
I just wanted to address the board real quickly.
Okay, I'll give you 2 minutes.
Okay, I don't even need 2 minutes. My name is Robert Austin. I've lived on Water Oak for 4 years. One of the concerns I have about this development proposition is the impact on the home values. Like I said, I've lived there 4 years, and there's a lot of factors that are affecting property values now that are out of our control. But I can't imagine that a car wash of this type, regardless of how it's dressed up, is not going to be a negative impact on our property values, and not to mention the approximately 45 children that get on and off a bus every day to go to school. Again, thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, that will close our public hearing. At this time, I will entertain a motion from board members. Anyone?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make the motion that we deny this request. There are just too many unanswered questions and too many maybe, ifs, possibilities, and all that stuff that are unresolved. While if we approve it, there's just no guarantees that they'll be addressed. So I make the motion that we disapprove this request.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Robinson.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I'm in favor of the request.
Okay.
I think by denying this, I don't think this board is actually going to accomplish anything other than perhaps denying the property owner the use of his property from the time that we deny the request until the time that the city of Mooresville hears the request and rezones it. I personally believe that if it is the intent of the owner to build a car wash there, I believe it can be done in a manner that is harmonious with the neighborhood. I've done some business over the years with Alltech here in town, and they do have packages of landscaping and so forth that they can recommend for these things, and the type of brick or the exterior walls that they use that are pretty nice. I do know that if you have an area, a site trenched in the pipe blade and a slab poured for a car wash, and they show up on the site on Monday morning, by Friday afternoon you'll be washing cars. They can put one of these things up in a hurry, and I think the main thing that we'll accomplish is to deny this property owner the use of his property and the income during the interim. And I've said this about as long as I've been here, that if you show up into this room in an Armani suit and Gucci shoes and a briefcase wanting to locate a plant here and employ a few people, we'll lay it down and give you somebody else's money to do it. But if you're born and raised here and paid taxes all your life and you want to expand your business, we don't have anything for you but a hard time. And that's just something that sticks in my craw, and I don't mean to infer that anyone else is not, but I'm a strong proponent of personal property rights, and before I can sit here and deny someone the use of their property, those in opposition have to prove to me that they're going to be harmed by this use, and I'm not convinced that they are. This property is going to be developed commercially by somebody at some time. And it is surrounded by parcels on three sides over which Mooresville already has zoning jurisdiction. So I think any argument that says it's not going to be developed commercially or that somehow we're going to save somebody from the commercial development of this property, I think is a large part of superfluous argument.
Okay. All right, we have a motion on the floor. And okay. All in favor of the motion that's on the floor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those against?
No.
Okay.
2 and 2.
2 to 2.
2.
Motion fails.
Okay, Mr. Johnson, you had a motion?
Can we have a roll call vote? I voted no. Did you vote no?
Against the motion?
I voted against the motion.
Okay, I did too.
I didn't know how Mr.
We voted
Chairman
in
voted.
favor of it.
Yeah, we voted in
Okay,
favor.
very well. I just want to make sure we didn't have
Okay.
confusion.
Okay.
I would make a motion that we authorize the release of the jurisdiction over this property. And Mr. Smith, you may help me with this a little bit. Can we do this contingent upon Mooresville's willingness to allow the county to assume the erosion control portion of it? Is that too cumbersome for you to administer? Or Mr. Pope may step in and say, once again, I'm breaking the law.
I think he may say that.
Could I get a second opinion on that, Mr. Pope?
I don't want to say once again, implies you've done it before, but
I don't know how you do that. I don't think you can do that.
It wouldn't be binding if it was legal.
I think we either release it or we don't.
Okay. Okay, I'll make everybody real happy then. I'll make a motion to release this property in Mooresville zoning jurisdiction without conditions.
Okay. Heard the motion. Everybody in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Those against?
Aye.
Okay.
Still got a 2-2 vote.
Let's have it.
Was it a 2-2 vote again? Okay.
I'll change this time.
Oh, you voted
Yeah.
yes? Okay.
Yeah.
It goes through.
Okay, you voted
Yeah.
with, okay.
Okay, I'll have it.
Okay. Motion passed.
All right. Motion passes. Administrative matters, Mr. Mashburn.
Mr. Chairman, the following items are on consent agenda. Approval of budget amendment number 42 to appropriate $20,000 in North Carolina Department of Transportation Rural Operating Assistance Funds for elderly and disabled transportation services. Item B is approval of budget amendment number 43 to appropriate federal transportation funding for the elderly and disabled transportation services. Item C is to call for a public hearing on March the 17th, 2009 at 7 p.m. for consideration of the FY 2009-2010 North Carolina Department of Transportation Community Transportation Program application. Again, item D was deleted because action has already been taken. Item E is approval of a request from the Health Department employee Amanda Peters for permission to solicit employee donations for the Global Youth Service Day. And basically what this would entail is just placing boxes throughout the different departments of the county to allow employees to make donations of solicited items, toiletries, and so forth that would be provided. Item F is deleted. Item G, approval to extend current 5-year extended service agreements to 7 years on 8 Ford ambulance vehicles, the chassis, and authorization for signature on the agreements. Item H is approval of budget amendment number 45 to transfer funds from the emergency management budget to the emergency communications budget to cover the cost of one new telecommunicator 1 position for the remainder of FY 08-09. Basically what that does is it reduces emergency management by 1 position and increases emergency communication by 1 position. Item I is approval of budget amendment number 46 to transfer contingency funds to the 911 fund budget. These funds are being used to pay expenses that were originally anticipated would be paid for out of the 911 fund, but due to some interpretation by the board that regulates these funds, we cannot use them in the manner that we intended. Item J is approval of budget amendment number 47 to recognize additional grants received for crisis intervention and child daycare and to appropriate to expenditure line items. And item K is approval of the February 17, 2009 minutes. Those are the consent agenda, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. You've heard the consent agenda read. All in favor of that consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, likewise. Announcement of vacancy occurring on boards and commissions.
Mr. Chairman, would you mind if I be excused for the remainder of the meeting? I've got to catch a flight and
Sure.
would rather, since most of the business has already been conducted, if that's okay.
Sure, that's fine.
Okay. All right.
Okay, announcement of vacancies occurring on boards and commissions. Nursing Home Advisory Board, 1 announcement. Local Emergency Planning Committee, 2 announcements. Appointments to boards and commissions. Adult Care Home Community Advisory Committee, 5 appointments. We have any for that? Okay, do we have anyone for that particular board?
At the adult care home, I'm sorry, Mr.
Yes, sir. Adult Care Home Community Advisory Committee, 5 appointments.
Mr. Chairman, I'd offer a motion we table any appointments.
Okay. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed. Criminal Justice Partnership Program, 1 appointment.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to nominate Lynn Gullett.
Lynn Gullett. Any additional nominees? All in favor of that nominee, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. State for Planning Board, ETJ, 1 appointment.
Mr. Chairman, I've actually got somebody considering that at the present time. So
Okay.
until he makes up his mind, I'd offer a motion we table it.
Okay, motion table. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Nursing Home Advisory Committee, 2 appointments.
Motion to table.
Okay, motion table. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Eye Care Board of Directors, 1 appointment.
Motion to table.
Motion table. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Animal Grievance Committee, 2 appointments.
Motion to table.
Okay, motion to table. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any unfinished business? How about new business at this time? If not, County Manager's report.
Mr. Chairman, the only thing I want to bring to your attention is the fact that we did delay opening of county offices 2 days this week until 10 o'clock each day. Of course, that was weather-related. On the first day, we had about 60% of our employees that did come on into work that day, but we were able to the best of my knowledge at this time, we were able to meet all of the necessary obligations that we had, and we are back on regular schedule at this time.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mashman. Any additional, anything else, Mr. Mashman?
No, sir, that's all.
Okay. At this time, I have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, motion to adjourn. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye.